Y'all, this story time is so hard to get through. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It drains me every time I try to do this. And it's so real that I'm up here without a retwist because I just want to get it over with. So, this story time is regarding that little mini rant that I went on summer 2023. If y'all were on my last Instagram, um, I told y'all back then I really didn't have the time at that point in time to sit down and really discuss what really happened. And it seems like the same today, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get through it. It's just, listen, I've been through so much when it comes to friends. At this point, it literally drains me. Like I've come to to an understanding with myself. Like I'm just not safe with friends, and I don't want to like sell myself short in that way. Um, but like trauma is real. Like friendship trauma is real. Friendship breakups are real. And nobody really talks about the aftermath that happens regarding that. And I think it's also because a lot of people really don't value their friendships. A lot of people don't realize that their friendships are a form of a relationship, the same that you have with that raggedy ass man. You understand what I'm saying? And it hits different too when you actually have like years worth, like decades worth of friendship with people. And then it turns around where you feel betrayed or you feel backstabbed or you have a fallout that just was way too much. I really think that's the part of it all that drains me because I really don't discuss that part of it. So to come and try to just give you a story time, it's not that energy, and I don't have that energy at this big grown age. You understand what I'm saying? So this is mostly just to like, I don't even want to say clear the air. You know what I'm saying? Because it's nothing to clear up. I'm not addressing nobody. It's just the fact of I don't like people playing on my name. And there's just certain things that's been said that don't sit right in my soul and don't sit right in my spirit. And I can't have my name attached to certain falsities or honestly bare foolishness, simply to put it. Anyway, um, that little rant ended up happening because I came across a YouTube video that my former friend posted. Now, my issue isn't the YouTube video. It's crazy because it's like I've done this myself to one of my friends that I fell out with. Like, at least when I did it, like, it was good. It was entertaining. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't dragged out. You know what I mean? Um, and I was actually telling the truth. Like and even if it didn't feel like the truth to whoever was involved, like I had examples, I had receipts to back up the things that I was feeling and the things that I was saying. Point blank, period. And in this video with this former friend, the video was literally just filled with lies. And it's like, I wouldn't have been mad if you told the story and you told the story in full and you told the actual truth. But you lied, and nothing you said you have receipts for or backed it up or whatever the case is. Especially that little end piece where Shorty was like, I put her nudes on the World Wide Web.
She likes to live in a dark cloud. I'm not a person like that. I could fuck you up and that would never be an issue. But she doesn't fight with her hands. She fights with being a internet gangster and sneak this in and doing stuff like that, little weird stuff that is just like, girl, I have no time for that. And then on top of that, she's one of those people who like to call the cops. Yeah. So it's just like, it is what it is. But I just wanted it to be like just cordial. Like you clearly do not like me. So it's just like, let's just not be friends. But with her, it couldn't just be that. She had to go the next step. So if you guys enjoyed this video, the introduction to this person, if you guys enjoyed this video, get the likes to at least 100 likes. I don't care what you get the views to. Get the likes to at least 100 likes. And if you get the likes to 100 likes, then I will come back with the video on how she posted my nudes. This girl posted my nudes on the World Wide Web. So if you got
to really and truly keep it real with y'all, when all of this spiraled out and happened, I definitely took this to the law for two different reasons. One, I was threatened. My life was actually threatened. And two, you were literally defaming my character, because truthfully, if I spread anyone's nudes on the World Wide Web, it would have gotten back to you, definitely. And if it gotten back to you, why would you still choose to be friends with me after? We didn't even have a friendship where you were sending me nudes. If anything, it'll be like, oh, look at this bra, blah, blah, and that's just because she's big-chested. So you understand what I'm saying? So what nudes? And it's so funny. I could laugh about it, but it's like, you are really out here trying to literally speak poorly on my character and portray me as this person that I am not. And we all know that I'm not, including the people that I'm speaking about. So then it's like, what? It comes down to like, what are you trying to do? Ruin my reputation, quote unquote. And that's when it comes down to a defamation of character situation. You understand what I'm saying? Then couple it with the fact that you've also threatened my life. So now I have to go into different modes to try to find ways to defend myself or protect myself. You understand what I mean? So this is definitely a law situation. The only reason that I haven't progressed it is the simple fact of me taking my time and my hard-earned money to go through this a court situation would honestly cost me more than I would even gain back going through all of that. You know what I'm saying? It would just have to be me trying to prove a point. And I don't think it's worth that type of stress. And when it comes to that, I'd rather just do this. You understand what I'm saying? Since this is what they say I love to do anyway. It's just so crazy because I don't even know where to start. Because with both people involved, I've had years worth of friendship with. I'm gonna try to sum it up. So we're gonna start with Keyara, right? And Keyara is the girl that made her YouTube video about me, or her and I's friendship, or whatever the case is. How I met Keyara, this is like a running theme, and I don't mean to make it be a running theme, but when a girl's girl was really a girl's girl, I used to be that, in the sense of I did not like men getting in between women, period. Like, I don't like men beefing over women. I don't like beefing. I don't like that too, but I don't like women beefing over men. I don't like women fighting over men. I don't like the cause of an issue between two women or several women to be because of a man. Because if this man wasn't involved, we wouldn't even know each other. You know what I'm saying? We would never find a reason to have an issue with each other until this man became, you know, the common denominator. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like that. So anyway, I say all of that to say that in my younger years, because now we're taking this back to like 09 type of stuff. So this is like my high school era. So first year in high school, I meet this guy, let's call him Malcolm. I meet Malcolm, whatever the case is. Everything is all copacetic. I guess we end up taking a liking to each other. At some point, Malcolm tried to diss me because Malcolm was like, oh, I don't date virgins. I'm 14. Is you cool? Once he got over his stuff, we ended up like dating or going out, as we used to call it, right? In my school, I had like this little friend group that we all used to ride the same bus back home together. Like we all like rode the same route home. So it was probably like a 5, 6 of us. It was a cool amount of us. Sometimes extra people would jump on from, you know, whatever. But it was a good amount of us. So in that little friend group, it's 2 girls. One of them is my play cousin. We're going to call her Milan. And the second girl is her friend, Molly. Cool. Molly's also cool with Malcolm, blah, 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 whatever. Like I said, we all in this little group that go home together. Cool. I think there was a point in time, maybe it was like a school break or whatever the case is, and Molly and Malcolm decided that they were going to go to the movies or whatever. In that, Molly ended up bringing her best friend, like from middle school era, which is Keyara. So from that little trip or whatever the case is, Molly ended up coming back, and she ended up like aiming, like, this is how far back this is, y'all. She ended up aiming Milan, like, oh, I just came back from the movies with Malcolm and my best friend Keyara, they go together, they going out. So Milan was like, no they don't, because Malcolm go with Cheyenne. So I guess in all that little hoopla, whatever, Milan ended up coming to ask me. I didn't know that was going on, but Milan ended up hitting me up on AIM, like, oh, you and Malcolm go together, right? And I'm like, yeah, why? She's like, oh, no reason. And that was the end of that. When I ended up seeing Milan in school, I ended up going up to her like, hey, why'd you ask me, whatever. It's still sitting on my mind, like, why'd you ask me that? But she ended up breaking down the whole movie situation to me. So I said, okay, cool. I didn't even say anything, no fuss, no muss. I didn't make no big deal out of anything. I literally just was straight walking past that man through the hallways in school. Wasn't saying nothing. Because I guess it was pretty awkward for everybody else. Because like I said, it's amongst this friend group. We all go home together after school. It came to like a lunch period or whatever. And Milan and Molly walk up to Malcolm. Oh, so many friggin' M's. And was basically pressing him. Like basically like, yo, what you finna do? Like, you're not about to sit here and play dumb. Like, what's going on? And Molly's chiming in like, yeah, like, you're not about to pay my best friend. It's either going to be Cheyenne or Keyara. And he was like, well, I choose Keyara. And then he walked off. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's not bunning me. I was already not talking to you. Once Milan told me that, was a done deal in my head already. So all of this show is for what in my head? My best friend ended up going off to go talk to Malcolm or whatever. And in the corner, I could hear him talking about, oh, yeah, I choose Keyara because Cheyenne only want an in-school relationship, da-da-da-da. Rightfully so. I can't go out to no movies. I can't go and hang out with you. I can't get on a bus and head how many stops down and go chill out with some boy. My mommy's not having that. You're only legit seeing me in school and on this bus ride home. Like, I'm not. So, and it's crazy because she says whatever she says in her video, but me and Keyara, we're from the same like islands or whatever. Our families are from the same islands or whatever. And so we have like the same cultural upbringing where like her family and parents are strict in that regard too. But I'm going to say allegedly just because I don't have screenshots from this era. Allegedly a time or times where she has told me that her mom would go away for work or whatever, and she'd be away for a minute, and then, you know, her siblings would be at school, but there'll be times that she'll be sick from school, and she'll call him or aim him, let him know or whatever, and he'll end up coming to her house to chill with her. I'm not saying they did anything. I'm just saying that's what she told me. Not only say that to say, like, it goes back to his point and reiterates his point where you're only gonna get an in-school relationship with me because I can't even pull them antics, baby. Very much so. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. She was home. There was always somebody home. There was no pretending or actually being sick or whatever the case is and sneaking or having no boy come over. Like, and it's crazy because even thinking about this now, like, you say all of this, Malcolm, you ain't even try to make it work or nothing, sweetie. Like, how about you could have took the bus all the way down to my stop and walked me home? Right. It's not even that deep for real, honestly, because even in saying all of this, it was a point in time to even fast forward a little bit with me and Keyara. There was a point in 2018 where me, Keyara, and Malcolm were hanging out for like an entire summer. And they got into a whole little vehicle court case situation that I wasn't a part of, thank God. It's just like to say all of this, like, oh, I carried some kind of jealousy for her behind the whole Malcolm thing that happened in 2009. You think that I carried that up until my big ass age? Like, you're crazy. And then whatever, because it's like, because I'm not saying this for no tit for tat, but it's just like, if we're gonna speak facts, it's like, even from that era of 2018 up until the era before Malcolm even had his kid, the man was still trying to be in my face. So it would never be a situation where I would jealous you over the fact of no man or no boy picked you in 2009. That's how I ended up getting to know of Keyara. It's crazy because I asked Milan about this and she don't remember. But there was a point where Milan had told me that Keyara reached out to her on AIM and had asked for my AIM because she wanted to talk to me for whatever reason. And Milan must have told her like, oh, she don't give out AIMs. Milan ended up telling me when she saw me in school. So I ended up getting her phone and going through her AIM, took Kiara's AIM out and wrote Keyara myself like, oh, hey, it's Cheyenne or whatever. I heard you wanted to speak to me. It went left before it even started. The girl's like, oh, it's crazy because when I asked for your AIM, she was talking about she don't give out people AIM, but here you are. She gave my AIM to you. I'm like, that's not what happened, but whatever. It was a little back and forth for a little while, but it like got squashed, I guess, because I don't remember like nothing clearly. I don't feed you information about what I remember. I just want to see what you remember about that time. Like, for instance, do you remember how you found out? Do you remember reaching out to me and telling me what was going on, or even asking me if me and Emia was still dating? Do you remember how it all came about at lunch? If you remember any of that and how it went down, or even how me and you and the girl started beefing in the first place, like, if you can remember anything about that, just tell me what you remember, and then from there we'll like fill in the blanks. I just want to know initially what you remember first.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I really don't really remember everything that happened. Girl, that was like 15 years ago. But what I can say is, I remember they was hanging out or whatever that one day, and one thing led to another. Next thing you know, they was in a relationship. But I was confused as to how they was in a relationship when you had already told me, like, y'all was dating and stuff. So when I went to go ask you, and you telling me y'all still together, I was a little confused. Like, what's really going on? What's really happening? You feel me? So I really don't know. I really don't know, like, exactly what happened, how that escalated. But you and Kania was cool after that. If I'm not mistaken, y'all put y'all differences aside and y'all was cool. I don't know what exactly made her flip on you like this. So, yeah, I don't remember exactly what happened between y'all previously. So I can't really speak on that. I just know that y'all had beef after, but it wasn't, like, no big up, like, y'all was going to fight and that and third. Like, no, but y'all did have your little differences and stuff. So I don't really know. Like, what was her situation? What was really her problem? Like, but everybody just started flipping and switching. Word, like,
I don't even remember how I got squashed, but it was just that. And moving forward, we ended up like just having each other on social media. It was MySpace days first, and then we ended up having each other on Facebook. I remember us really interacting at a point where I think I posted a post for Labor Day repping like my islands or whatever. And that's where she was like, oh, it's crazy because I'm from all the same places, blah, blah, blah. So we had that little like thing. Fast forward into how I really actually like spoke to her on the phone like, and actually like seeing her in person and all these things. How it was this scandalous event that happened on Facebook. I go on Facebook, I was attempting to mind my business until I seen pictures of Keyara and Molly on my TL, but in the comments it's Keyara and her high school best friend, let's call her Casey. So it's Keyara and Casey in the comments calling Molly all types of whores and hoes and sluts and whatever the case is. So I'm like, what the hell? At this point in time too, I think I also had like a group chat because I had moved. When I met Keyara and all this was happening, I was living in the Bronx. At this point in time where all of this is happening on Facebook, I had moved to Jersey. With that being the case, I had like a little group chat in Facebook like inbox with like several people from my school that I wanted to keep in touch with. I would just send like, little memes. Back then, what used to be memes, like little funny videos and stuff. I put Keyara in the group as well. So also in that group, she was like bad mouthing Molly and yada, yada, yada. So it was kind of getting awkward. It was kind of getting hectic. And even at some point, like Molly had hit me up and reached out to me too, like, did I do that on purpose? Like put Keyara in that group to like basically lambaste her or whatever the case is. And I'm like, bro, I don't even know what's going the freak on. Anyway, ended up reaching out to Keyara herself, like, girl, what's going on? Why are you doing this? Because again, to my knowledge, they're supposed to be best friends, right? So me and Keyara ended up getting on the phone, like exchanged numbers. She ended up calling me. We got on the phone, and child, we stayed on the phone till the wee hours of the morning, where she's just basically explaining to me that there was a situation where Molly had ended up moving too. She moved out of the city, and Keyara and her were still keeping up their friendship. On one of Keyara's trips out to go see Molly, Molly had a friend out there let's call him Adam. I guess Adam and Keyara took a little liking to each other, whatever the case is, and they were talking or whatever. The summer it happened, Keyara and her family went like on a family trip, and by the time she came back, Adam hits her up and he's like, hey, you know, I just want to tell you, while you were away, something happened between me and Molly, aka they engaged in some activities. I guess the guilt was eating him up and he came to confess. So they had that conversation. I guess after they had that conversation, she reached out to Molly and asked Molly, you know, why would you do that to me, blah blah blah, like, and it didn't go well between them. Molly said some things that she shouldn't have said, and it didn't sit right with Keyara, so Keyara took it to Facebook, and that's where it was, and that's how that came to be. To the fact of like Keyara even put Adam on the phone, and her and Adam are on the phone, and they're telling me all about Molly's history. Again, we're a part of this little friend group that, you know, goes home from school, and I think Molly's in one or two of my classes, but Molly was never really my friend. Molly was Milan's friend. Like, I had my core group of friends. That was Milan's friend. So I really didn't know certain things about Molly. I didn't really know how Molly's family was set up. There was just a lot I didn't know about Molly that they both filled me in on quickly. I ended up getting them to like speak and to like squash it at that point, but of course, you know, it's not gonna be the same. And I also think I was just too naive in my little girls mentality, because maturity nowadays, I wouldn't even do that. Just cut her off, sis. Don't even try to be friends with her again. Don't. Because if she could do that, if anybody could do that to you. But then again, to play devil's advocate, sometimes I be feeling like this is a pattern with Keyara. You can't bring Keyara around people, because Keyara gonna slither her way in some way. It's just very strange with her. Like, I've noticed, especially after my little falling out with her, I've gone through this little situation in my head a couple of times, and because even in these two scenarios, like, you did the same with Malcolm. And now here's Adam. I'm starting to see a pattern. Moving forward, we ended up meeting each other again, I believe that same summer, because we ended up like being really cool after we spoke on that phone that time or whatever. So ended up reaching out to her for a little gig that my godmother used to put me on to. My godmother's a teacher, so she used to hire me to help her clean and reorganize her classroom for the upcoming school year. So all her coworkers would see, and they'd be like, oh, does she have a friend, blah, blah, blah. So I reached out to Keyara because I think she had her first job at like McDonald's, and something went left with them there, and either she quit or she got fired. And I remember her calling me like upset, crying about it. So shortly after that is when my godmother reached out to me. So I was like, hey, like, it's not too even far from where you live, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, sure, I'm down, blah, blah. So we ended up meeting on like Fordham Road, and we went to wherever we needed to go. So that's how we ended up meeting each other, and then being like, okay, like, you're actually cool. I really do like you. And like, we're in person, like, whatever. So from there, our friendship kind of grew. It grew even more after like high school days, because we went to 2 different high schools. Well, actually, let me not skip over this, right? Because there was a part in her video where she claims that I was obsessed with this guy, and I introduced her to this guy that was that ended up being obsessed with her as well, and whatever. Would you believe that that same guy is Dread? You know, Dread from the Jasmine story? Because remember, I told y'all I've known Dread, like I grew up with him practically, so I've known Dread for a very long time. So there would be points where even after I moved to Jersey, me and my mom would come out. My mom would go see her friend, and Dread didn't live too far from her friend, so I'd go hang out with Dread. So one of the times that I met up with Keyara, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go see this guy that I talked to. Do you want to come? Blah, blah. She's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So we took the little trip on the bus. They ended up hitting it off, being cool and cordial, which was surprising to me, honestly, because a lot of people that I introduced to Dread, they often think like he's rude and he's standoffish, blah, blah, blah. So for them to hit it off like off the bat, like, oh no, he's cool, he's nice, I think that whatever. I was like, okay, cool. It got to a point where Keyara's sister was throwing her like a surprise sweet 16 birthday party. And she reached out in my DMs on Facebook and was like, hey, blah, 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 whatever. Because at this point in time, I knew Keyara, but I didn't know her family. I didn't know her friends. I didn't know anybody. So I was like, the only person that I know that knows of Keyara that's around is Dread. So I hit her sister back and I'm like, oh, can I invite my friend, blah, 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 because he knows her, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, if he knows her, definitely bring him. Cool. Ended up going to that party. Her sister picks us up. We end up going to the party or whatever the case is, Dread and I. And I don't know what happens, because at a point it was me and Dread, and then at a point Dread like left me upstairs. He was downstairs somewhere. Don't know what happened. We ended up going home, whatever. Something happened between Dread and I. We fell out over something. By the time we ended up cool again, he hit me up and we're talking in Messenger, and he ends up bringing up Keyara's party. He was like, oh, do you remember that girl at Keyara's party that looks like this? She was wearing this. Her name starts with this. And I'm like, who? I called out a name because of the description, and the name that I called out was like her high school friend. He was like, no. And he told me the real name. And I was like, wait, Keyara's cousin? He was like, yeah. He's like, basically, when I had left and went downstairs or whatever the case is, something was going on with somebody's car. And he went there like, oh, I can help, blah, 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 whatever. I guess from there, he met the cousin. They ended up talking since then. He said the cousin ended up like hitting him up or whatever the case is. And from there, they just started talking. I don't know, whatever, but they started talking. Now he's coming to me to confess his sins and tell me whatever happened, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, how I bring you to a party with me as my plus one and you end up dating my homegirl cousin? Like, anyway, fast forward after that, because they ended up not dating after a point in time. And there was a Labor Day weekend where we ended up falling out. In the middle of us falling out, well, before us falling out, my uncle is really cool with Dread's uncle. So he would go and like fry fish and have a fish fry at Dread's uncle's house, or Dread's house rather. That being said, he had invited me and I had told Keyara about it. So Keyara was supposed to pull up with me. Labor Day happened. Keyara and I fell out or whatever the case is. So I ended up bringing one of my high school friends with me. You know, as I'm sitting there at this little fish fry minding my business, Keyara and her new best friend slash co-worker is walking in to this fish fry, and I'm so fetching confused. Shortly after, is it not Dread coming down the stairs to come and greet them? And now they're over there huddled up in a corner by themselves. Like, bypasses me completely. He does not greet me, acknowledge me, nothing, and just goes over there and is attending to his guests, apparently. Anyway, it becomes a little too awkward for me. I don't like it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna go. My uncle pays for my Uber. I get in an Uber. As I'm getting in my Uber, why do I see Dread, Keyara, and her coworker bestie going up into Dread's like building, into his home? Child, shortly after that, could you not believe that Dread and Keyara's coworker bestie were messing around and fake dating at a point in time too? And this is what I mean, because in her little video, she makes it seem like around the time where Dread was dating her cousin, he grew this little obsession with her, which she claims she has screenshots for. She actually sent them to me back in the day. So cool. She's trying to tell y'all that I also had some kind of secret animosity for her because I was so obsessed with Dread, but Dread was so obsessed with her. Is you cool? Like, what's really going on up here for real? Like, what's not clicking? Because, again, if you're going to tell a story, tell the whole entire story. Tell a real story. Tell the truthful story. Tell the story in full, okay? Tell the story of how I introduced you to Dread, and all of a sudden, everybody around you, Dread just started to date. Let's even forget all of that. It's even down to the simple fact of like, I'm introducing you to a guy that I'm talking to. So it's like, where is your boundaries and the fact of, okay, well, that's not Cheyenne's little fling no more. That's not Cheyenne's little whatever no more. So why do I need to talk to him? You understand what I'm saying? Because it's not even the fact that they're just talking or whatever. It's one thing if it's a little, oh, hey, how you doing? How you been? Whatever. That's not the case. Y'all hitting each other up to link. Y'all hitting each other up to go out. Y'all hitting each other up to go to the gym. Y'all hitting each other up to go out to eat. For what? Where's your boundaries as a friend with that? Not the, oh, I hate when when that happens because it always looks like I'm in the middle and I told my coworker bestie not to date him or not to talk to him because he used to talk to my friend, but they didn't listen and that made me so angry. And like it became like a whole thing where it was like, even at a point, Dread was coming back to me and he was just like, yo, like, I don't really want to tell you who your friends are, but Keyara is not your friend. Like, I don't want to say she's jealous of you or whatever the case is, but the way she be moving, she is not your friend. And again, being the naive little girl, whatever, why would I take the word of a dude over my friend? You know what I'm saying? Like, if she claims she has nothing to do with it, she's not the matchmaker, the part taker, or whatever the case is, then why am I holding grudges against her? If anything as well, I'm also tired of Dread and I'm annoyed with Dread and I'm really not too messing with Dread because why are you dating people in the circle, friend circle, family circle of people I'm introducing you to? What's going on with you? Like, you know what I'm saying? So this is just like, nobody's innocent in that little aspect. Fast forward past all of that, we will always be partying with each other. And it's crazy because it's Keyara who broke me out into partying. It's Keyara and her older sister. Them trying to sneak us into 19 and up clubs. Keyara trying to pass me the same cousin that dated Dread ID to try to act like I'm her to get in. Like, all types of stuff. It's just how our friendship and our relationship was, or whatever the case is. That was my road dog. And imagine two sheltered kids, like two kids who parents were strict, never let them go outside, blah blah, and they finally get a piece outside. Child, anything, anywhere, we were there. And it's so funny because now that I bring this up, I also remember a part in her video where she's going on and acting like she's innocent. She's innocent, like, oh, I've had this one boyfriend and then blah, blah, blah. Whatever the case is, trying to make it seem like she's never had man in her life, like she never took man in her life. It's ridiculous. But she tries to say like we used to hang out and do like double dates with our boyfriends. Absolutely not, because furthermore, by the time I started dating my boyfriend at the time, like my little toxic boyfriend that she claimed, it was after graduating high school. The boyfriend that she had all throughout high school after the whole Malcolm situation. So look who I find in the streets. And broke up with him prior to college because she herself felt like this is the era where you need to live your life and do what you want to do, not be tied down or whatever. So she broke up with said guy. So I don't know how we were able to double date and all these things. Yeah, that never happened. In fact, there was a point in time where she was talking to my toxic ex's cousin. So I don't get it. Like, why lie? What is there to lie about? What is it a lie for? Pretty much, that was our friendship. It wasn't just partying and stuff like that. It was a lot of things that we went through in our friendship where we were actually friends to each other. I would definitely give that, because any party that I've had or thrown for myself, like she was always like a big contributor. Times where she's like annoyed me in between of like planning and helping me plan or certain things, but she's definitely been there for that. Even big things, when I got my car and I bought my first car, she was the one that was with me and my cousin and her. With things that she went through, she got into this big car accident at one point in time. I was there for that. She was pregnant at a point in time and made whatever decisions behind that. I was there with that. It was just plenty and plenty, but pretty much that was what our relationship was like for the most part. So let's conclude this as the Keyara story.